Hello and thank you for tuning in. My name is John and I'm the science educator for Children's Museum Houston. And today's programming is sponsored by our friends at Phillips 66. Now, does anyone love weather as much as I do? We're going to learn a little bit about weather and do an experiment to help us understand what we've read. So the book we're going to read today is called Weather Words and What They Mean by Gail Gibbons. And this is in courtesy of Holiday House Publishers. So we're going to read a few sections from this book to help us understand the experiment we'll begin shortly. So let's begin our story. Look, it's sunny. I need my rain boots. It's raining. It's beginning to snow. The weather forecast is fair today. It sure is hot and humid. The weather changes from day to day. Weather words explain what the weather is like outside. The position of the sun is what causes temperature to change. The weather is made up of temperature, air pressure, how much moisture is in the air, and how fast the wind is moving. Air pressure is the force produced by the weight of the air pressing down on Earth. Moisture in the air comes from water that evaporates mostly from the oceans. Wind is air in motion. The temperature goes up and down. When the sun rises in the morning, the air becomes warmer and the temperature goes up. When the sun sets, the air becomes cooler and the temperature goes down. The temperature also changes with the seasons. In the summer, the sun is high in the sky. The days are warm and longer. In the winter, the sun is low in the sky. The days are cold and shorter. High pressure is when air particles are close together. The air is usually cool and dry. High pressure often brings fair weather. Low pressure is when the air particles are farther apart. The air is usually warm and moist. Low pressure often brings bad weather. Wind happens when warm air moves up and cooler air moves in to replace it. Warm and cool temperatures affect the wind speed and direction. Wind direction is where the wind comes from. When wind blows with more and more force, a windstorm develops. There are many kinds of windstorms. Often they cause damage. A gale is a strong windstorm. A hurricane is a spiral-shaped windstorm that comes from the tropics. And a tornado is a funnel-shaped windstorm that twists as hot air spins upward. The many combinations of temperature, air pressure, moisture, and wind create different kinds of weather conditions. A big area of weather that is the same is called an air mass. The boundary between two air masses is called a front. This boundary is where the weather changes. Let's go swimming. It's hot. Brr, it's cold outside. The weather is hardly ever the same from day to day. That's why it's so interesting. So let's get started with our experiment. The book we just read talked about wind, tornadoes, and hurricanes. So we're going to dive into the power of wind. Wind flows from areas of high pressure to low pressure. So we're going to use these golf balls to represent air molecules. So an area of high pressure is where your air molecules are more tightly packed together versus your low pressure where the air molecules are more spread apart. So our wind would then flow from this area, high pressure, to low pressure. Wind is seemingly an invisible force. Unless it's moving things like dust and leaves, we actually can't see it. So we're going to use our vortex cannon and our cup stack to demonstrate the force of wind. To help us see the invisible gust of wind that knocked our cups over, we're going to use a fog machine to help us visualize exactly what the wind is doing. As the air leaves the cannon, the air in the center of the hole travels faster than the air near the edges of the cannon opening. The faster moving air causes the pressure to decrease, so the faster moving air collides with the static air outside the cannon, which has a higher pressure. The collision causes a swirling effect, or vortex. This vortex can be maintained due to the air pressure difference between the low pressure at the center of the ring and the high pressure outside the ring. Strong windstorms like hurricanes and tornadoes also spin around a low pressure. Thank you all for tuning in to learn about the power of wind. My name is John, and we're coming to you from Children's Museum Houston. Hope to see you next time.